Let's get into it.
Someone once told me I clap like a handicapped seal, and I think you just simulated that one.
I tried to be on the same pace too. Like,
Oh man, don't worry. One day I'm gonna be in front of a crowd. I'm gonna do that, and they're all gonna do it back, like right away. You'll see.
hell yeah.
Let's see. Can I even go to the live? It won't even let me click on my own live. It's ridiculous. Whatever.
If you go to your studio, YouTube studio, then it will. Or is that Twitch?
It's Twitch. It's Twitch.
Mm,
Here with Michael Plaster. What's going on, man?
howdy. What's going on right now? We're gonna have Okay, damn.
Yeah.
We're in it.
Yeah.
We're gonna do a jiu-jitsu show later tonight at 10th Planet Austin, and then tomorrow is Who's Number One on Flow Grappling. And so for Thursday night jiu-jitsu, I'm gonna be directing, but it's a super simple show. Like we have 10 matches, you know, one camera that's handheld, and then we got Who's Number One. I've never been to Flow Grappling before. I haven't even been to one of their events.
Okay.
But just so happens that like 2-3 people kind of called me at the same time to say, hey, like, do you want to go? So I'm my favorite thing in the world is to have that God pass, which is like you go to an event, you can go anywhere. That's my favorite.
Oh, where you're at an event, you can just go backstage, front, this, that.
Yeah, so I can go into like green room, talent, production, close audience, far audience, whatever. That's my favorite. I love having that like freedom and permission to do whatever the hell I want.
True.
You know, like, but it's because I have a camera. I'm getting shots. You know, I'm getting like cinematic shots. So people,
you have to.
they say, okay, you can play.
Yeah.
And I like that. I'd much rather do that rather than actually being like paid and like someone's expecting to get certain shots or like watching over you.
Yeah.
You know,
I've had that when I was a videographer. It sucks.
Yeah, just if people would just identify me as a creative that you just go do your thing and it costs X.
Yeah.
But like there's no oversight. That's the best.
Yeah, that's what you kind of do. What, like, I don't know. Maybe if you have the eyes of a creative, you kind of want that.
Mm-hmm.
That type of thing. But if you don't, and it's just about making money off of the thing that you film, then
yeah, like a wedding, like everyone knows what a wedding video is supposed to look like, but it's super difficult to like express to someone. First of all, you have to find out who, you know, what their experience is and like how they interact with creative things or their media.
Yeah.
And then kind of bringing them in on like your creative process, like that's hard, you know?
Yeah.
So it's good to just have a name where someone says, David Lynch, like here's money to do you, you know?
Isn't it crazy he died?
Yeah.
Isn't that nuts? Oh yeah, bring
Old
the
age.
microphone up a little more to your face.
Old
yeah,
age.
there you go. Yeah. At least he went that way, and he didn't like say the wrong thing and then like end up passing mysteriously. It was like a legit just.
Yeah.
You know?
I was very heavily influenced by his Dune movie, but that kind of led me to think about Alejandro Jodorowsky's version of Dune.
Yeah.
He's a Mexican filmmaker. And like now would be the perfect time to make that movie or that series using AI, like the way Alejandro envisioned it. Because there's a whole documentary about how he wanted to make it, but it was just too crazy. But now's the time.
You know, somebody was talking about that on Rogan with Eyes Wide Shut. Forget who it was, but it was someone with Tarantino.
Oh yeah, it got re-edited to hell.
Yeah, he was talking about. Well, I mean, it's known that there is like a 15-minute chunk, 20-minute chunk that they just took out of the movie, and nobody knows what it was. And if you look at Eyes Wide Shut, it was probably taking it even further, the whole premise that he was working with, probably in a really crazy way, probably in something that we kind of know of right now that's kind of common knowledge that really wasn't that good back then. And I think that's part of the reason why he passed. But that director, Kubrick, that director said that Eyes Wide Shut is actually supposed to be narrated. It's like there's supposed to be a narrator
Through Tom Cruise's perspective.
Yeah, and And apparently they didn't have that. So when you're talking about it got edited to shit, it's like that's part of it. That they took away that aspect. They took away that 15-minute chunk. They signed a contract where they're not allowed to do anything like that with his films. But he died, so they just went against it after he was gone. It's a little wild. But this director was saying it's possible he's been trying to like critique it, like kind of tweak it out with AI. And like say like, okay, let's do this with this narrator. What does this look like? What could be missing from the, like there's a whole bunch of things you can like experiment with AI.
Oh yeah, I
So,
want to fix movies. There's a bunch of movies that I've seen. I'm like, man, if they just tweak this or this ending or whatever, like I want to see someone, and I'm sure someone's gonna do it out there. Is remix the ending of like the last season of Game of Thrones and just fix it. You
Yeah.
know?
Yeah.
I mean,
They have to.
yeah,
That would be the best
and
thing
it's
to do.
super close now. You can do it
Yeah.
easy.
I would love to see that because that ending was terrible. It was absolutely terrible.
A bunch of movies like that. I was telling you earlier, like I want to do like historical remakes in using AI. Like, how do I envision Genghis Khan, doing his thing,
That'd be cool.
or or getting into some like obscure history that, like my family was in. My dad is huge into genealogy, and he was like, "Oh, we had family on both sides of the Civil War." So I'm like, "Okay, that's a cool story,"
That'd be crazy.
Mm-hmm.
On both sides.
Mm-hmm.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's crazy. I would love to know how that went.
Yeah, my dad's done some like extensive genealogical research, and it's the Church of Latter-day Saints has the biggest genealogical record available,
Really?
the LDS site. Yeah, so you might be able to, like, if you know your family names, then you could go on there and see. You might be on there, or
I don't know where mine's so widespread. Be somewhere. So there's gonna be a bunch in Cuba. There's gonna be a bunch in Jamaica. There's gonna be a bunch in Barbados. It's just crazy, crazy.
not too many Freemasons there.
No. But the Caribbean has something else called. A lot of people don't know this. They have a secret society thing. One of my friends, his grandfather was the head of all of the Caribbean, and they're called the Mechanics. So there's the Masons, and there's also the Mechanics, and it's the same type of stuff. They have these rings. He would never get searched at airports. He would always just like show someone the ring and just like go do whatever he has to do. And my buddy's father, who I know really well, he didn't want any part of it. He's like, I don't want to be any part of that. But I was like to my buddy, I'm like, you should look into that because like you're like an heir to the throne kind of thing.
Yeah, and same with me. My great grandfather, he was really big on Edgar Casey, and like, and he was one of the most well documented psychics in the United States.
Edgar Casey?
Yeah, Edgar Casey.
I've never heard of that.
He was huge in the South, and he was a devout Christian who had these. He would sleep on books and then like have revelations, or he'd have like a medium.
He'd absorb the books?
Yeah, he'd do that, and then like his wife would like document everything, like all of his like altered state.
Really?
Yeah. And so my great grandfather, when my father was still in his early teens, he was alive, and he was like the top of the Freemasons, like
Really?
32nd degree or whatever in Houston. And he would always tell my dad like there's things about Jesus that he can't say, but or they wouldn't share.
Wow, he's an alien.
I don't know.
That's for sure what it is. There's no other.
Yeah.
He's
And
an
then the main thing was like he was like psychics are real, and he would talk about Edgar Casey.
Really?
Yeah.
That's very interesting. I would love to know that. Because any Mason that I've ever interacted with, they would just be like, nothing.
Mm-hmm.
We don't do anything. It's charity. That's all.
I'm sure it's some of that.
It is.
And
yeah, exactly. Like there's a bunch of books. It's not these books aren't about charity that you guys have, right?
Yeah.
That's things about Jesus that he can't say.
Yeah.
Oh, he's an alien.
I'm sure. I mean,
sure.
Yeah. There's I don't know. But the reason I brought that up is because I don't know how much time it would take for me to come in and like into the organization and like just wanting to learn about the secrets. Like how long is it going to take me to get in? And it doesn't matter if my great grandfather was high up or not. It's still like they're not gonna fast track me unless they're into bloodline stuff.
Yeah, they're not gonna fast track you, but depends. They might.
Great. Let's try it out.
They might. You never know. But I mean, it would take a while. It takes a while.
I've always been into.
It would take you like 10 years to.
10 years is not long.
And it also
I'm 38
depends,
now, so like 50. That's cool.
It also depends on how much work you do, because there's work to be done. There's things to be memorized and rituals and stuff. So if you're really diligent about it, you could go really quickly. If you're not, then
I'm not really into like magic rituals or anything like that. Like I'm all Jesused out.
Yeah. Yeah, that's what I'm into too.
But I have always been interested in like intelligence agencies and like how do they gather information, in particular like the stuff that comes from the fringe, like the remote viewing program and like SRI, Monroe Institute. Like I don't know why I'm so interested in that stuff, but I've always been attracted to like learning their processes.
Yeah.
So like when I was in, I guess it was 2012. Here in Austin, I looked up a remote viewing program, and so Paul Smith, who's in the program, the original remote viewing program, he was teaching like how to remote view. So I took his course, did like 20 or 30 sessions.
Really?
Yeah. Some hit really well, and then others didn't, and then there was a lot of in between.
Really.
But I can see how like if you got obsessed with this and you were doing it like a full-time job, that I think it would be accurate.
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah,
that was the first thing I ever listened to in terms of podcasting. First podcast I ever heard was about remote viewing.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Do you remember who?
I don't remember who the person was, but the host was Kelly Howell, and she had a podcast called Theater of the Mind. And it was just talking about all the weird stuff that I talk about. That's what she would talk about. And it was just crazy. I was like, this is nuts.
Is she still around?
Yeah. She was the one that had, like I told you about my experience with binaural beats.
Mm-hmm.
She was the one that had all the subliminals and the binaural beats. And it was all on her website. And I would just I would work these minimum wage jobs. And like, I would just like buy a chunk of like binaural beats and buy the things that I needed. And pretty soon I had all of them, and yeah.
It's super easy to go like woo woo. I mean, it kind of goes hand in hand, like woo woo. But if you find the right sources and you keep an open mind, and you're skeptical of like the data, like so you're not really quick to believe anything. Mm-hmm. You're just saying like, okay, I'm not going to believe anything. I'm just going to absorb this data until it becomes knowledge.
Definitely. Then
I think that's a good process to like look into these information gathering techniques.
Yeah. Remote viewing is one. It's pretty. I don't know. Maybe I'm just like very open, but it was pretty easy for me to just be like, yeah, this is obviously real. But again, she was talking with somebody that was from the CIA, that was talking about the programs and how they take people and they're trying to figure things out, and they were using like playing cards at first, and then he was talking about something about they would go to certain locations and they would try to get these people, and they just had a bunch of people doing this all the time.
Field researchers, they would go to a space, observe something, and then have the remote viewer try to tap into what they're observing. They found out later that it doesn't, as long as you create a correlation between the reviewer and the target, that's all that's needed. There doesn't need to be like, it could be a coordinate, it could be a random number.
Yeah.
It doesn't matter. As long as the viewer attaches, or like has the intention of attaching to the to whatever he's viewing, that's enough. And as long like you could have like random numbers that represent that target.
Really, that's very interesting. We got somebody here who just said, it's not going sideways. I gotta pop this thing out. But he just said
you could lay it on the side maybe.
Sure. He was saying his grandfather was in Holland, was a part of a secret society. His mom told him. I would love to know about that. I wish that I had a grandfather or something that was like that. That's my ultimate wish, but I never had anything like that. My mom was
Well,
not
maybe
a
you
part.
do though.
Well, you know what? Funny enough, I say that, and I was talking with my personal trainer. He's in the Air Force, right? And my dad was in the Air Force, right? And I was like, yeah, my dad was a paratrooper, and he's like, oh, he had top secret clearance for sure. And I'm like, why? And he was explaining to me, he's like, paratroopers don't just, he's like, people think they just fall into war. He's like, they fall wherever they're told to fall. So if they have to fall into a building and go get a bunch of files and like maybe take someone or take someone out, they just do it. And he was saying how the CIA, the bureau, the agency, they recruit a lot of guys from the Air Force because he was saying they're just naturally smarter because they have to deal with machines, they have to deal with all this different stuff. So they have this very wide range of knowledge. And then it's just like, okay, we just need you to go do this thing. And it's usually easy for them to do, especially if you're used to jumping out of planes and stuff. It's like, why take, and he was explaining it pretty well. He's like, why take an agent and teach him how to jump out of planes when they already have guys who jump out of planes? It's like, just give that guy the information that you need and just tell that guy to go do it. And I was like, huh.
Like,
that makes
yeah, turning a person into an asset rather
Yeah.
than like trying to home grow them.
Yeah,
Yeah.
exactly. So he's like, your dad for sure had top secret clearance. And I was like, oh, okay. I'm like, that's weird. Because we were talking about, funny enough, we were talking about how many people in media have these intelligence connections.
Yeah.
Because it's just so many. The only person I don't see with that is Rogan. Like, Rogan doesn't, like, he knows a bunch of people now.
Mike Baker is,
Yeah,
that's a connection.
that's what I mean.
And
No,
there's not just him either.
I mean, like, now he's connected to Trump. I mean, the
Yeah,
DNI, Tulsi, Jocko, Tim Kennedy. But I mean, like, as his family, like, his dad's just a cop, and his mom was just a hippie type. His stepdad wasn't anything connected. So it's like he didn't have any. That's the only person. It's like you look into everybody else. Not everybody, but you look into a lot of people. They all have it. Like Tucker Carlson has a lot of connections there. His dad had a lot of connections. They were like CIA adjacent in media and stuff like that.
Well, intelligence and power kind of go hand in hand anyway. So
Yeah, exactly.
if you have any sort of real money or power, you're pretty much going to have a hand in it in some sort of intelligence
Yeah,
operation or agency.
yeah. And then I asked my brother about it. He's like, Dad. He's like, something like that. He didn't want to tell me or anything, but he's like, Dad stayed away from it so he could always have plausible deniability. He just like stayed out of whatever access he could have. He would just stay away from it. And I was like, huh. Like, maybe. I don't know. We'll see. I don't know. I can't find. And the funny thing is, I was supposed to get access to all of his stuff, like all his whatever medals, everything. I was supposed to get all of it when he passed away. And then when we went, it was all gone after he passed. Like somebody had went through the apartment.
That's a crime.
Yeah. Whoever did that is insane. Like for what? To sell it? That's why it was really weird. It was like, what are you gonna do with that stuff? Oh yeah, if you need to move or anything,
cool,
like we can chef everything.
No, you're fine.
Yeah. It was really weird, really weird. Look, someone right here, Brian Callen's dad too. Yeah. Right.
Well, yeah. I remember on a podcast, they were like, Alex Jones called Brian Callen's father a spook. Yeah, I remember that.
Because he was like a financier, banker type, and he's like, "Dad's a spook."
Yeah, well, entertainment is full of. Most of the music industry, Hollywood is all like intelligence-based propaganda.
Yeah.
So,
like about Laurel Canyon.
Oh yeah, Laurel Canyon conspiracy. Lookout Mountain.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Which Jared Leto bought.
Yeah.
And is now his house.
Yeah, I wonder what's in that basement. You just go like 50 floors down into like this city.
You open it up and it's just a landscape of the moon.
Yeah. They left it there. Yeah. They never took down the set.
Yeah, the flag's there, everything.
I mean, there's propaganda footage, and you can look it up on YouTube from the 50s of Lookout Mountain, and then they have like showing people like, oh, this is where they do experiments or research, but it's all Hollywood bullshit. Yeah. Like everything looks super. Like now when you look at it, it's like people are obviously like, it's like a movie that looks like a documentary.
Okay.
You know what I mean? Like
Yes,
now you can
yes.
see like, oh, they set up a light here and then they said, okay, 1, 2, 3, action.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
You
Yeah.
know,
Yeah.
and the whole thing is just completely made up.
Yeah.
But for the propaganda of the time, it's like, oh, this is so
Yeah.
official, you know,
Well, I mean, that was the time where everybody just trusted the government. It was like,
and
why
media.
wouldn't you? Yeah. Yeah. Exactly. Media. It was weird because it was at a point where it could still be trusted, but it was getting, manipulated in a sense.
Did you ever see Wag the Dog?
No. No.
Dustin Hoffman, I think it was in it, and
What's that?
um, it's a movie about journalists making war propaganda, and they're making a fake war. So they have like they go and shoot like a fake battle scene, and then they report on it, and that's their job is to like push this narrative about this war that's not really happening.
Really?
Wag the Dog, yeah.
Wow.
Yeah, it's a great movie. I'm surprised that like not more people refer to it.
That's crazy. Huh.
Yeah.
Yeah, there's a lot. There's a lot. Laurel Canyon blew my mind because as soon as I already had that suspicion with hip hop in general, because I was like, there's so much depravity. I'm like, this can't be the only thing that these young black artists want to talk about. Like, this doesn't make any sense. And then
Compton.
anytime, yeah, right. And then anytime there's anything else, it's like those people just kind of get pushed to the side. Like any kind of like, I don't know, intelligent type of rap. I'm like, this is just so odd that it's just like this and it's getting worse and worse. And then I learned about Laurel Canyon. I was like, oh, and then I started looking into hip hop.
Freeway, Rick Ross.
Yeah, I started looking into hip hop, and it's like just two examples are so weird. Just media and hip hop, or comedy and hip hop. Martin Lawrence and J. Cole were both born in Germany.
Oh, I didn't know that.
Yeah, West Frankfurt, I think it is, and it was on a military base because they're military kids. Yeah,
Interesting.
right? I had no idea. I was like, that's so weird. So they're German in
Yeah,
actuality. Like I guess it's American soil. If you get that base, it's considered American soil. But they were born in Germany.
Yeah, anytime I hear like someone's educated in Switzerland or something, I'm like, okay, there's something wrong. Like Kim Jong Il or whatever, or Un.
Was he?
They're educated in Switzerland. A lot of power elite are educated in Switzerland.
Yeah, yeah.
I don't know anything about anything.
But that's one of the things
hear
where we were talking about Sam Tripoli. That's one of the things. If you ask him about, I feel because I've listened to the Tinfoil podcast so much. I feel like if you ask him about like Switzerland, he'll like
he'll go off. Yeah.
Yeah, like he knows a lot about that part, and there's a lot to it. They seem unassuming, but they're not apparently. I don't know.
Yeah, with like that world, I just leave it to the researchers to just go do your thing, come back to me.
Bring it all back.
You know, yeah.
Yeah, Sam's big into that. He goes hard with the research. Really, really hard. It's pretty crazy, actually. I haven't gone that hard. I got like in terms of Laurel Canyon and everything, I went pretty hard to figure that out. But reading the book and then looking at hip hop and seeing the symbolism. Recently, you ever heard of Sexy Red?
Yeah. I
Sexy,
saw this.
People were talking about she's a CIA asset.
Yeah, I want to know, like, yeah, and they
what?
said that she was important for the messaging or whatever. I want to like listen to her lyrics now.
Oh, it's gross.
Okay.
Yeah.
So
yeah,
it's all about destabilizing youth and over sexualizing them, right?
yeah.
I mean, you look, Instagram and a lot of other social media sites, they will just push sex on you.
Yeah.
Like soft core.
Yeah.
Boom, boom, boom.
Yeah. I always comment on those. Anytime I see something like that, I go, but if I talk about natural immunity, I'm going to get censored. I'm like, that's kind of weird. And it's like this weird breastfeeding video, and it's like a fake baby, and it's such weird stuff that you can like see on those sites. Weird
Yeah,
stuff.
I want to know why, like, and why is it always like, are there counter psyops? That like are like, oh, this is to educate people, or this is to wake people up.
I was thinking about that the other day. I made a video about that because I'm like, not about that, but I touched on the whole thing. I'm like, there's always, as above, so below, good and evil.
Yeah.
There's always, so if there's a bunch of evil, destabilizing stuff, are there like good people on the other side? Because I was talking about like, I'm like, possibly Trump could be a part of that good side, just based on how the bad side reacts to him, you know?
Well, if you see eventually when you start identifying like the demons or whatever,
Yeah.
you start identifying them and they all start saying the same thing.
Yes.
then you're like, okay, that's at least I know that the bad side all agrees that this should be said.
Yeah.
And then as a part of that side, there might be a lot of useful idiots or whatever that
Yeah.
that kind of just chime in the same way. But there has to be good. Okay, any system that's built gets corrupted, right?
Yeah.
Like any tool of man is going to be used to be the demise of man.
Yeah.
So that means that any system that's created for good, that can be corrupted. The highest good would be to build a system that is resistant to corruption.
Mm.
So
Yeah.
like what? So now I'm thinking like, where are those systems in our world? What is the systems that are like the most protected by the good?
Yeah. I don't know.
It's
I
hard
mean,
to say. It's hard to find.
Because my first reaction is to just say, Christianity, but then also it's like you can see so many pastors.
Yeah,
that are
organized.
doing terrible things.
Yeah, I'm sure there's churches that are very proof.
Yeah.
But yeah, like I would. I'm very into cult. I love cult and culture.
Yeah.
Just the root word, not necessarily all the
Yeah. What comes
dogma around
along
it, but
with it.
there has to be some sort of there has to be some key.
Yeah, and maybe it's just that there's good and evil in everything, Like I've talked about it before when I talk about like BLM. Like I always say, because people don't really understand how they don't really get that these things get infiltrated, like BLM, the alphabet community, even the pro-Palestine movement. They all get co-opted by these bad actors. But there's probably some people with the whole BLM thing where they were like, yeah, let's do this. This is a good thing. But then there's other people who are like, I'm communist and I know this is going to help destabilize things.
I'm getting paid.
Yeah. Or I'm getting paid, So it's like maybe there's just a little bit of that in everything.
Well,
because you can definitely see it in religion, right?
Do you ever see a counter protest being paid? Like, does that exist?
Maybe.
Like, okay, BLM, Soros paid people, right? Boom.
Yeah.
Well, is there like I don't know who else is on the other side. Say it's Trump.
Maybe Elon Musk.
Okay, yeah. Do they pay people to counter?
Yeah,
I don't know. Maybe they're paying like the scientists. They're like, okay, you need to develop these.
Yeah, I don't know.
Like the cyber war defense.
Yeah, because you don't really see that. Because if Elon could, why hasn't he?
For sure, you
Like,
could.
with the
I mean,
Tesla
like
stuff,
there's people
like-
with like incubators and what do you call it? Mind.
Masterminds.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like those, plenty of those exist. So why couldn't or shouldn't some of those be super positive, like
Yeah.
enlightened?
I don't. It's a very odd thing, but I think about that a lot. Like who's on the good side? But there is a good side. Yeah.
Well, if the good side did not exist, the bad would just take over completely. We would be in a dystopian world.
Yeah.
But there
that's
is
the thing.
good. So what happens is the bad guys organize first, and they say, "Hey, we got to get together. This is secret.
Yeah.
We got to fuck this shit up." Or
Yeah.
I'm sorry to curse on you.
No, you don't
Okay.
worry, man. Do
I got. Okay. So the bad guys get together and like we're gonna take stuff over, right? And then at a certain point, it becomes too much. Like, okay, they're overstepping too many boundaries. So then the good guys who just want to be left alone, they get together and say, okay, we got to band together.
Yeah.
Let's take out these bad guys. They do that. And I think the good guys, I don't know, throughout history seem to win,
Yeah.
like, so the beating the corruption. And then the bad guys disappear for a while, and then
they regroup.
Yeah. But that's like that same cycle over and over again. If the
Yeah.
good guys would just be diligent
And stay on it, kind of
Yeah.
thing. Yeah.
build systems that would suppress the corruption.
But I guess you see that. It's hard to say because when you see, like, again, the example of Trump, I mean, you see certain things that he's trying to put in place. You can say that they are those good things that would just help the country remain good in certain ways.
At least in the rhetoric.
Yeah. Well, yeah,
least.
because it's like what he wants to do with voting, where he's like, oh, it should just be a national holiday, paper ballots. You're going to bring a passport. You're going to bring your ID. And that's just what you're going to do. And that just makes sense. And throughout the rest of the world, that kind of makes sense. but there's just these people here that are like, no, that's racist. You can't do that type of thing. So it's like, I don't know. You see people try to erect certain things that are going to be for the good, but then it gets manipulated and twisted, and it gets branded as lies or it gets branded as racist.
Changing definitions of words has been like a easy trick.
Yeah, violence.
Yeah,
violence is the biggest one. Like now, words are violence.
Yeah,
microaggressions. It just used to, rolling your eyes is a microaggression. Like it's weird, just manipulating the language.
Sometimes I think like maybe I should be doing things in my life that actually made a more significant impact. Like I consider myself a storyteller, but are the stories I'm telling actually making any change in the world? Does it affect anyone at all? Does it matter? Like things that matter is like you're gonna go save someone's life, or you're gonna build a system that empowers prosperity or something. Like I think my highest aspiration would be to have a incubator, where I have a process where you take ideas, put them in, take the ideas, process them into the ones that are going to be the best, fund them, make a team, make a product or a service, and then go put it in the real world.
Yeah.
That would be like my highest level, what do you call it? Goal.
Yeah. 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 Alan Watts talks about that. He says, talking about the acceptance that you're not going to improve yourself and you're not going to improve the world. He's like, and then that frees you so much, and then everybody looks at you and says, look how much so-and-so's improved. Because like the second you kind of relieve yourself of that, you now have all this freed up energy to actually do that. So it was a weird thing, because that, I feel that way too. That's mainly why I started doing this. But I guess you'll always kind of feel that way, because, before, when I wasn't doing anything, I was just working in a factory, I felt that way. Now I do this, and it impacts people. I get emails and messages all the time about, the great impact, somebody watching this with their kids and like weird stuff like that. And I'm like, wow, this is so cool. So it's like these little impacts. And now that I'm so much more impactful than I was, now there's more where I'm like, oh, I should probably be doing more. And maybe it just always gets like that. You'll always feel like that. Even though you'll have the incubator and you're making the good ideas, you'll probably still feel like that.
Yeah, it's not enough.
But it's weird because you talk about that, and as great as Elon Musk is, it's like, why isn't he doing that? He could do that. But he's kind of not doing that.
What, I mean,
like he could do exactly
he
what he just said.
He talks about taking on the hardest problems of humanity.
Yeah. Well, like, and those are, those are great, but then it's more of moving humanity along, into a different planet and all that. But there's still so many things here, Like,
you know about Starbase in South Texas?
No, what is that?
Starbase is where they do launches, and they have Elon's built a city that's just his city.
Really?
Yeah. I have a friend that teaches jiu-jitsu there, and his wife works for what is it called? SpaceX.
SpaceX.
Yeah. I was like, not Tesla. So she works there, and they live on base, and there's like, I don't know, 100,000 people there or something. Like,
it's just
he teaches all the executives' kids jiu-jitsu.
Really?
Yeah. I'm like, man, you should make a team, like an official, like national grappling team. But I think there's a lot of like security risks with that, because
because of who the people are, right? Yeah, you can't have that. You just send in a sleeper cell to not let somebody tap,
Yeah.
That would be it.
Yeah.
Real quick, armbar, break somebody.
But my point though was he's building a city, so
that's crazy. I didn't know that.
Yeah.
I've never heard of that. See, and there you go. That's kind of that good to evil kind of thing, because I know Bill Gates wanted to form like these smart cities that essentially it's like
or like the line in Abu Dhabi or whatever.
things like that. Well, the smart cities, it's like it takes away, in my opinion, it takes away a lot of your rights because like who's going to be allowed in these cities? What are you going to have to give up? Are you going to be scanning eyes and retina and palms and all this stuff? Is it going to be like a 15-minute city where you can only go to certain places, not allowed in this sector, not allowed in that sector? But then you tell me on the other side, Elon Musk is like forming his own city there. And like that sounds good. Like I don't know what that actually consists of and everything, but it's like I guess there is a lot of good and evil at work.
You know about homesteads?
Yeah, of course.
Okay. Have
I'd
you heard
love to have one of those.
Yeah, like a little culture.
Yeah.
Like just give me yeah. All my friends want the same thing. We all want to live in a compound.
Yeah.
That's like sustained.
Yeah.
Sustainable, all that. But there's also seasteads. Have you heard of seasteads?
No.
So seasteading is the idea that you would get like these barges, like these plots of land.
Okay.
Like hexagons.
Okay.
And each one has its own specialized utility. So one is like energy, one is water filtration, one's air filtration, whatever. One's farming, and then one's residential, and they all plug together, and they're all within 150 miles of a coastline.
Okay.
So within international waters, but protected by, say, the United States or whoever you're closest to.
Yeah.
I don't think anyone's ever built this stuff, but they might, because
so it's like a theory kind of thing, or it's like
I don't know how far along anyone's taken it.
wow.
Because if someone does want to build a city,
Yeah.
okay, there are cities.
Of course.
There are homesteads.
Of course.
Are there cities on the water? Well, there's oil rigs. Those are big structures on the water. There's ships, like battleships are huge.
Yeah.
So what are the chances of someone building like an arcology on the water?
Huh.
Probably it's been done somewhere.
They say that's what Atlantis was. And that's why they were able to that's why it's not there, because it's not that it's sunk, they just moved. That's what they say.
Yeah, I mean, I think
Get deep into Atlantis.
and then if they're like, I talk about with people about underground like tunnels and cities, and like if there's underground military bases, how big are those? Yeah. And how deep are those? Like, it's very possible that there's a city underground where you look up and it looks like the sky that we have.
Yeah.
Very possible.
I toy with that all the time in my mind. I think that's very, very possible. And I think the whole thing of like, don't go too deep. Back in the day, don't go too deep because it'll be hell. It's hell under deep enough. And then as we got smarter, it's like, don't go deep because it's just lava. It's all just lava. It's like, maybe it's not.
Right. Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, we've only gone like 8 miles down, supposedly.
Yeah, it's 12 kilometers. Me and my buddy were just talking about this. Only 12 kilometers.
Okay, so how high is the atmosphere for us?
I don't know. Is it like 60,
10 miles, 20 miles?
60, something like that? Yeah.
So say we go that deep.
Yeah.
And then you create a Truman Show.
Yeah.
Underground. I'm sure that's existed. Because like
you can do cloud seeding. Like if you had that much of a cavern underground, you can just cloud seed and have everything going. And and then again, going back to the Masons, they talk.
I don't think it's far off.
They talk about a second sun. The Masons talk.
Oh, do they?
Yeah, a black sun. So there's the one that we see, and then there's a black one that we don't see.
Like in outer space?
No. Apparently, it's hard. If I look up the image, I don't know. I'd have to find it. Free.
Eddie has this show idea. Eddie Bravo has this show idea that he shared. He talks about outer space being just like you're in a puddle, and outer space is another puddle, like on the plane.
True. Like separate the waters from the waters, kind of thing.
Yeah. So there's the outer anyway, and then the whole idea premise of the show is. Characters go to outer space, but they're actually just going to another plane, part of the plane.
Man, I was telling him about this when we had our interview, because I was like, listen, I'm like, maybe it's not flat, and I'm like, because this is my theory. Like maybe the math works when people are into flat Earth. They're like, oh, the math, and I'm like, maybe the math checks out because Earth is way bigger than we were told, so it would check out if you just knew about our planes, like where we existed. So if you just knew about that, the math would check out. Then if you went out to outer space, you'd be able to see a globe. Like everything would all of a sudden start to click. Everything would make sense.
The size is
yeah, exactly.
off, yeah.
And that the reason I brought that up to him because, an ice wall would also check out, but it's not just that. It's just an ice wall and that's it. It's because there's actually land masses outside of that, a bunch of different land masses, which the Buddhists actually talk about. If you see like a Buddhist map from like the 14th century, 13th century, they show us and then they show stuff outside of us. And that's a Buddhist map. Buddhists who are known, tying into this, the Buddhists who are definitely remote viewers in all their meditation that they do.
Everyone talks
It's weird.
Everyone talks crap on like these different theories, but if you follow like simulation theory, like Thomas Campbell's My Big Toe,
Yeah.
if you follow that at all, that the logic, it's all possible.
Yeah.
Like all these different theories are possible because reality is rendered for the consciousness.
True.
So those dots in the sky that you see at night, that's all they are, dots. Because you aren't closer to them, so your consciousness is only getting that dot.
Yeah.
You get what I'm saying? So like,
yeah. I've heard him talk about it. He talks about he pretty much puts it on the spectrum. I heard in an interview he's like your brain is just like your mind, your consciousness, and it doesn't render until like you have a brain surgery, and then somebody pops it up, and then your brain's there.
Yeah, there's like stories of people
Which is
that
so
have like
deep.
no brain. Have you heard of this?
No.
There's people that are functional that have no brain,
Like Kamala Harris supporters.
like no brainstem,
Yeah, that makes
or
sense.
it's just a brainstem.
Joe Biden supporters for sure. Yeah, for sure.
Did you ever see? Did you ever see the music video? So there's a series that Eddie Bravo and I do called Mix Flick of Death and Devotion,
Okay.
and it's his music remixed, or his music, and the visuals are remixed movies. So like classic movies. So
Okay.
The Crow, Sin City, 300, Ex Machina. Okay, so we take these different movies. I'll remix it to one of his songs. One of them was his latest album. It's a song called Yo Body.
Yes. I listened to that before our interview.
Oh, you did?
Yeah,
Okay,
yeah.
so I made a video of that.
Yeah.
And it's nothing but making Joe Biden look like a hero. And it's probably the ultimate satire that I've made.
I'm pretty sure I watched that.
It's like, it's all of his...
It's been up for a while, right?
Yeah, maybe like 6 months, maybe.
Yeah. 'Cause
So
I feel like I watched something.
it's
'cause
it's all of his like campaign videos.
Okay.
So it's like the best looking.
Yeah, and it was Yo Body, and I remember telling him, I'm like, I thought it was saying Joe Biden.
Yeah, originally it was.
That's yeah, because it was tripping me out because I was watching Joe Biden, I'm hearing Yo Body, but the way he's saying it, it sounds like Joe Biden. And I was just like, it was tripping me out. But yeah, I listened to that.
Okay, cool.
I listened to a bunch of his songs because I was trying to prep for the interview, and I was like, I don't know what to do. Even though I was on his podcast, I was like, I still want to know some stuff.
Yeah.
You know? I don't want to ask him all about Joe Rogan. You know what I mean? I want to like touch on him. You know what he does. You know.
Well, I would recommend you go watch that one because that's I'm proud of that one.
Yo Body.
I showed my dad. My dad's like super like liberal.
Oh really?
Yeah, 77 years old.
Like brought a
he
tear
was
to
a
his eye?
hippie. And he was just super confused because he's like, why is my son making this? Because he thinks I'm like, I don't know, far right wing or something. I don't know.
Yeah,
But
of course. That's so funny.
he doesn't know what to think about what I believe. And he doesn't want to ask, you know.
Of course.
But yeah, he was super confused. He was like, you're making him look great. I'm like, yeah,
Yeah.
exactly.
He doesn't even know. Yeah, that's amazing. Yeah. I remember watching that. That was very interesting. But yeah, there's a lot to it. What were we talking about before then? Oh, the black sun.
Holes in the ground.
Yeah, it's not showing it. I remember I found one of these weird images, these weird Mason images, and they show like there's one sun and then there's like a black sun, and it's like into the checkered board. I was trying to find
You
that.
know
I
the
can't find
symbolism
it.
around checkerboard?
No, well, I know there's duality with it. I know that it's predominant in a lot of Mason stuff, and then when you see it in hip hop, it's like, I don't know. I guess I wanted to say, I guess Masonic symbolism. When you see it in hip hop, you see it in hip hop a lot. Like Cardi B, like completely covered in checkered boards. Music videos, a lot of music videos, checkered boards. You know.
Yeah, it's in the old symbolism. Lots of like consciousness, like what comes underneath, like in Alice in Wonderland, like
Yes.
checkered ground. There's a guy back before YouTube existed on Google Video. There's a guy who was he was kind of doing this stream of consciousness stuff where he would like watch the media and it's particularly movies and TV and explain how the universe or entities or other planes of existence are communicating through to us through our medium, which would be TVs and movie. Like
Okay.
so, they're communicating to our culture through symbolism.
Huh.
And this guy was really educated on symbolism, and it made a lot of sense. Although he did also sound crazy a lot of time,
Really?
but yeah, I think like it's probably possible for other worldly entities to like communicate through and influence our media to communicate certain
I
messages.
was gonna say, you know, if you kind of take apart, if you take apart what he's saying, and then you look at the culture that these people in Hollywood are a part of, they are constantly trying to attract things in. Even Terrence Howard talks about it. It was so I want to say gross just because to me it's gross, but he was talking about how he goes when he's preparing for a role. He's like, I go into a washroom or like a room and I look into a mirror, but I turn the lights off. He's like, and I just, he's like slowly, he's like, something takes you over. He's like, something is inside of you. He's like, and then you know that you're like, you're ready. And then he's like, and then I go out and do the part that I have to do. And Beyonce's talked about that same thing. Eminem's talked about that same thing with Slim Shady. Nicki Minaj has talked about that same thing with Roman. Her what is it called?
Personality,
The ego,
yeah,
alternate ego or whatever.
alter ego, yeah.
Yeah, alter ego. There you go. She's talked about that. Lady Gaga's talked about that. So many people have talked about that. You know,
The difference is
rock
like
stars talking about getting taken over when they're performing. So when you say that this guy is saying that they're using the mediums, it's like they're using the people who control the mediums to communicate, which could be a thing there.
it. Yeah, the Buddhist take on it is it's already within you, and you're just invoking something that's within you,
In terms of what,
like the possession or whatever it is that we're talking about. But then in like Satanism and like Christianity, it comes from without you.
yeah,
So like it's either like a
comes from
loving God or a manipulative God.
yep.
So I guess like I don't know what's better, like invoking something that's already within you or calling entity.
Yeah, yeah. I don't. Well, I don't know yeah, what's better. I couldn't really say what's better in
Well, I
that.
don't know better. I don't know.
Yeah,
Like for sure, you don't want a demon to possess you.
yeah, but also like you have to. I guess we have to acknowledge everybody has like some darkness in them. But you know what? It could be a little bit of both. Where the darkness in you, if you're allowing it to fester, you can. Because this is what they say about like things contacting you or getting inside of you is that you're kind of you're in a state where you can accept that. Like like basically they feed off of like negative emotions and depression and all this stuff, which is why the media is constantly pushing that because they feed off of that energy and then they can cling to you via that. Whereas if you don't have all that and you have, good rearing, good parents, all that good stuff, they can't feed on you that way.
I'm down with that.
Yeah.
I think it's real, and that
Yeah.
kind of ties back into like how do you fortify good.
Yeah.
You keep the family in order.
And like one of the times I was at church, it really stuck with me. The pastor, good pastor, he was talking about how the enemy, they call it the enemy in church. The enemy is coming. The enemy is always going to attack, and that's not going to change. Like when you talk about like Satan, like he's always going to be pursuing you, and that's not going to change. And you have to armor yourself with the word. Mm-hmm. He's like, and you have to do it beforehand. He's like, you can't have the bad thing happen and now you're praying. It's like you should armor yourself with the word beforehand. Like you're talking about fortifying good. So, even taking it away from scripture, it's like you have to have all the things in place beforehand. Like you don't fight cancer. Well, most people do, but
in stage 4.
Yeah, exactly.
That's when you start. Yeah.
That's when they start, right? Instead of taking care of themselves beforehand, right? It's
well, those words are spells, right? Mm-hmm. Spelling a word.
Yeah.
And having the right spelling of the word.
Yeah. Yeah.
And the right. Yeah. Like I totally down with, I think words and having set like prayers, meditations, that's like huge. Mantras, whatever you want to call them.
Yeah. Yeah.
That's huge.
It's very big. Very big. I'm actually thinking about switching back to my Android because of that. Because I have a bunch of alarms that go off, and it'll say things like you are blessed and highly favored.
My wife is calling.
Yeah. It'll say stuff like that at a certain time. Just all these alarms that go off. Wake up, thank God. Even for this, like my YouTube channel, your YouTube channels get 3 million views a month because that's like a sweet spot in terms of revenue and stuff. And they always go off every day. I have one that's been going off since 2021 when I was in a really dark place, and it says, "Today you are in a better situation." So just every day it says that. So even if it's a bad day.
On this phone?
It does it on this phone too, but I have an Android over there where it's been set for years. It's just been going off every day. So every day I read that. But with the iPhone, it doesn't pop up on the screen. It just says like part of it. And I'm so into affirmations that I'm like, nah, I need to see the whole thing. Like the whole thing needs to come up on the screen and like interrupt whatever is going on in my life, So iPhone's not doing that. It's just showing like a little bit of it. So I'm seriously considering switching back just because of that.
Or you could use the tool just for that one thing, unless you don't like to carry around.
Yeah, I don't like the two phone thing. You get looked at weird when you got two phones. Although you can just say it's business,
Business phone.
Yeah, and then people think you're a drug dealer. That's the first thing that pops up. But yeah, very interesting, man. What are people saying in here? Yo, you guys, you can ask questions if you want. Just so you know, you don't have to just sit and listen. You can ask stuff. Kanye been telling us just using sex to sell everything, and now the explosion of young ladies on OF is crazy.
I want to know, like, are the girls really, like, their goal is just to give these girls as much money as possible? Like these girls, like I've heard, I don't follow any OF, but I saw like in my feed conversations with these girls are like, oh, how much are you making? Oh, $4 million a month or whatever. Yeah. I'm like, how many are actually making like a crazy amount of money? And by crazy amount, I'd say like
very low. Selling
yourself, like maybe if you make $20,000 a month, that's pretty crazy.
Yeah. There's I would say it's a very low percentage. It's kind of like YouTubers. Like how many YouTubers?
What was that bell curve, right?
Yeah. Like how many YouTubers actually make enough to sustain themselves in their life? It's not a lot. Not a lot in comparison to how many there are. There's like tens of millions of people making content. There's only so many that are actually, able to do like what I'm doing. Like I'm very blessed to be in this situation. Like there's only so many. There's not a lot at all.
Was there a time when you were like, I just have to take the leap?
Oh, for YouTube? Yeah.
That's like coming from a job to
Yeah.
doing something full time.
Yeah. Well, I mean, there's a bunch of leaps, and I think that's just how it is in life. Like there's going to be a bunch of leaps that you have to take, but in regards to the podcast, I was just at a low place in my life where I was doing Uber Eats and I was coaching. Like a lot of people, like the reason that it's called I Am Coach Colin is because I was actually coaching people. I was helping people with their habits. I was helping people. There was like, it was weird. Like there would be older men who I would work with who like had like drug habits, and they would like, cause I had a drug habit. So they would like work with me on how to like stop doing it, you know? But they didn't want to go to rehab because they didn't want to interrupt their life. And maybe it was just a little bit too much drinking, but like not to the point where you're like getting shakes or anything. They can see a pattern developing. So I was helping a lot of guys with that. And then it turned into helping guys with businesses. And then it turned into like helping people just shape better habits in their life in general. And it was a very interesting journey. But
And you use certain modalities.
yeah, I made a whole 10-week program where there's like a whiteboard that you're supposed to have, and it's supposed to have your habits, and it's throughout the week, and you have to actually track them. And you're not tracking them just to track them like it's a fun thing. You're tracking them to actually see, like, basically what I would do is there'd be 10 habits that you have, right? Each habit would be connected to a value that you had, a core value that you wanted to see in yourself, and those habits would help you become more of that.
Nice.
Right? So I had people doing these 10 things. Every 2 things were connected to one value, and you would do that every week because I wanted to see what you were doing, what you were not doing, and then you could actually analyze it. So if you had one thing where it's like, oh, I worked out every day this week, okay, and I didn't pray every single day this week, I'd say, okay, well, then one thing we're going to do is you don't get to work out until you pray. So, like, now we're just going to switch those. So now you have to pray first, and then you get to work out. Because you seem to like working out. You're doing it very easily, but you don't like doing this. And it was just, like, things like that. And I just work with them and tweak it and be like, okay, so let's get it. Let's get it until you get, like, 100% on this whole thing. And that was it. That's it.
Cool.
And I made it really cheap because I knew I was working with regular people. I'm not one of these idiot coaches who's like, you could give me $20,000 a month. I was like, no, you can give me like $100. That's it. Like, don't worry about it. Well, like, you know, it's just like a little bit of time. I really like doing it, you know, like it was just it was fun, and it was like turning into something. So I liked it. I had a bunch of clients, and I was just doing that for the longest time.
And you would just set aside like a certain time every week to have a call.
Yeah.
Or to review.
I would just have a Zoom call with people. It would just be like an hour of my time. Usually go to like an hour and 30 because I like doing it. And yeah, because basically I would make it so cheap because I knew I was learning on the other side too. I was learning about myself. I was learning how this whole thing worked as like a viable business. Like I was learning. So it was like, I didn't want to milk anybody just for that. Right. So yeah, I was doing that. But then I started doing YouTube, and I wanted to do videos on that stuff, like coaching and stuff like that. And then when I got to like episode like 3, I was like, you can go back like episode 1 of this podcast. Like I'm wearing like a suit and a tie and, you know, and then I got to the point where I'm like, the second that I'm done the video, I just dress like this. So I'm like, why the hell, what am I doing? Like, why am I doing this? And I decided to just be myself. That was like, you know, a mini leap. But then I was like, okay, I don't want to talk about this stuff. Like I like helping people with that, but I don't want to talk about that. Like I want to talk about the stuff I talk about. Like this is the stuff I talk about. This is what me and my wife talk about. This is what I talk about when I talk to people. It always turns into this. It's never surface level stuff. So I was like, I'm just going to do that. I'm going to do that for a year every single day, and let's just see what happens. Like I didn't want to keep doing Uber Eats, but I'm like, how about I just do that and do Uber Eats and just for a year and just let's see what happens.
Uber Eats was flexible for you.
It was flexible enough, and honestly, I didn't have any other skills. I went from working in film and television. You know, I was locations, I was set decoration. They call it set deck. I was doing grip work, stuff like that, and you know, film it's a vile place at times, but it's the only place where you're like you could make 6 figures and like you're a high school dropout and stuff like that. Like, you know, you give up a lot of your life because you're working 17 hours a day. But basically when 2020 rolled around, basically they wanted everybody to get the shots. They wanted everybody, like whether you were on set or not. And I was like, well, I'm not doing it. So I'm like, so that was the leap where it was like, either I do this and I just keep working film and television and, you know, have a career, or I just don't, and I just try something else. And I remember I was, I just started doing Uber Eats. I was essential, you know, and the podcast, 3 months, maybe 3 months in, like I made some money, like I made like $500, and I was like, wow. Like I remember telling my wife, I'm like, if I can like take you out to dinner like once a month, that would be good. And yeah, 500, and it's turned into more, and it was like 168 subscribers, and then out of no, I was working towards 1,000, and then all of a sudden it was like 5,000, and then all of a sudden it was 10, and then it was 20, and that was it.
There's so many like parallels between your story and mine.
Really?
Yeah. Like yeah, like I coach people who are just starting out in content creation. Like,
Oh, really?
you don't know anything about content creation, I'll help you be professional
Yeah.
and learn.
Yeah.
You know, I generally I don't teach anything technical
Yeah.
because that's just a long, like,
It's a lot.
you can learn everything online. Like if
Yeah.
you want to know how to edit, you just go to
Yeah.
DaVinci Resolve website and
True.
they'll give you everything, or you go to YouTube and they'll give you everything. And there's other people that create those courses that do great.
Yeah.
But for people who just need like regular check-ins, learning how to be professional, how to deal with clients, how to just get your stuff together, like that's kind of my zone. But I'm just not as consistent with it because I have a life. I have a whole creative life that I'm doing.
Yeah.
And then, yeah, same thing. Like in 2015, I shot an instructional with Gio Martinez, a jiu-jitsu instructor, put it on Vimeo, and it made $500 that month. And I thought that was a loser. I was like, oh, it's not going to work.
Yeah.
I just didn't have the perspective to be like, oh no, you need to do only that.
Yeah, exactly.
So, yeah, okay, cool. Really interesting to see these leaps.
Yeah, a lot of leaps of faith. And again, my buddy, who you remind me of, and his name's Michael as well, he was a big part of that as well, because he helped me take some leaps, as well. Like, I was working a job, the last factory job I was working.
Like giving you a break. Like,
Yeah.
I'll give you some reprieve
Yeah.
from your anxiety.
He's like, I'll give you 8 Bitcoins.
What?
Yeah. He's like, I made 200, and he's like, I made like 6 figures. He's like, in actuality, people only need like 60,000 to be happy. He's like, and anything more is just whatever. And I was like, okay. And this is back when Bitcoins were worth like, I think they were worth like $2,100.
Wow.
It was like something like that, like maybe 3,000. And he's like, quit your job and I'll give it to you. And I'm like, but I'm like, this is the first time I just met my now wife. I just told her that I got this job because I was switching jobs like constantly. I was working for job agencies. I'm like, this one I'm going to stick with, honey. I'm like, this is good. I'm going to become a warehouse manager. And, trying to show her that, we were just dating at the time, trying to show her that I'm becoming stable. And then he's like, quit the job. He's like, I'll give it to you. And I'm like, I just started. Like, this
When a friend like that
yeah,
tells you to do that, it's like,
yeah,
well, you already made it.
yeah.
So you might as well just follow that footstep.
Yeah. I remember I was walking down the street. I was still walking. Didn't have access to a car or anything like that. He's like, yeah. He's like, do it. And I was like, and I remember having that leap, that point of just realizing I should do it. Cause I was like, yeah, I don't know if this is going to happen again, but I know I can get another job again. Like, I can get another job that pays $13 an hour. Like, that's not a problem. I can do that. So I was like, okay, I'll do it. And I quit. And I remember I told the people I was quitting. And I'm like, oh, I'm going into because he knew about all these ideas that I had. And he's like, you should just do the ideas. He's like, this will give you the space to just do the video ideas. He's like, you said you want a podcast and this show and that and that. I had all these ideas. So he's like, just do those. So I remember telling everybody when I was leaving that that's what I was going to do. I'm like, oh, I'm going to go into video. Because at the time, I didn't know anything about video. I had just bought, funny enough how synchronicity works. I had just bought all the camera equipment off of the guy that I was working with in the factory that I was in, like the warehouse that we were in. He was like a filmmaker. He was getting a new setup and he just gave me his setup, showed me how to use it, and that was it. And then like weeks later, maybe like a couple months later, this guy's like, quit your job. I quit it. I go into trying to do things. I'm not doing anything because I don't know what to do at the time. And then from there, it just became, it was weird. Like I got a client for a videography gig. Again, synchronicity. They were people who worked in functional medicine and naturopaths. The guy worked for a company. He had a bunch of clients. I did one video for him. It did really well. I learned a lot about editing through that one video. I got paid. It was the first time I ever got paid. It was crazy. And then from there, he was like, I want you to do the same thing for my like top 20 clients. And I was like, okay.
Powerful.
Yeah. And then from there, I started doing that. And then I started learning about the body. And that's where I became conscious of like, you know, gluten and dairy and the gut and this and that and how it's connected to the mind and blah, 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 and all this stuff. Because that field of people, functional medicine, naturopath, they kind of went right along with like psychedelics and stuff. In private, they wouldn't really talk about it publicly, but they knew about psychedelics.
Well, now that's all blown.
Now it's out in the open. There was so many videos where I'd be like, you should talk about this. And they'd be like, no. And that's why I got the tattoo on my hand. Because I met so many people who could really change people's lives by just saying like, I'm in this position because I did psychedelics and it opened my mind. And they were like, they refused to do that.
So showing that to the public is it's a sign.
I just can't hide it at all. There's no hiding it from me, you know? It's just there. Because otherwise you could hide it. Yeah. You might be like, I don't want to.
It's you're coming out as a psychonaut.
Yeah. It's crazy. But yeah, that was another leap. So it's like there's leaps throughout life.
I'm always asking myself, what is it that this is almost daily. What is it that you are not doing? And I got this from Jordan Peterson. I think I may have shared it with you, but what is it that you're not doing that you should be doing, that you can do? And I ask myself that all the time as a prayer, like, show me what I should be doing that I can do, that I'm not doing.
Yeah.
And it takes a while for the answer to come, but I don't know. As a creative, I'm just trying to tell a story, man.
What is it right now? If you ask yourself that right now, what is it? And I've
gone through this over the last 6 months, is clearing out all the clutter, like the busy work.
Yeah.
Enough so I can focus on, 2 days a week on my long-term project, my 24-minute documentary series, or whatever I'm going to focus on doing.
True.
And hiring an editor.
Yeah.
Like I'm desperately looking for the right type of editor, someone who's assistant editor who can like organize everything for me so that I can take it and go build the story.
Yeah.
And it just comes down, and it kind of pairs together with the coaching, because I will help you become professional at what you're doing, but it takes someone that it requires someone to want to do that.
Yeah, for sure. So then why haven't you done it if that's the like thing that you should be doing that you can't do that you're not doing?
I've been fumbling.
Yeah.
Like I'll find an editor and it just won't work out, or I'll have a list of 10 others that, I tried doing the like Odesk or whatever.
Yeah.
It's Upwork.
Odesk, Upwork.
Yeah. I tried doing that, and like, it's always someone who doesn't care, who's just looking for a check, And so then I look at, okay, in my community, who do I know who cares? And then it's like, okay, how do I get together like $1,000, $1,500 to pay like a young man for his time, like full time, right? Yeah. And I'm like, okay, maybe I can go get like a few clients together.
Yeah.
But then and then that stops me, because I'm like, okay, I don't want to like spend my time managing a workflow for someone else.
True.
You get what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So yeah, it's just, I'm trying to find the right connection, and I think I had these side businesses that I want to execute on, but I'm like hesitating to do that.
Yeah.
Because I know it's going to take a year to like
get it off the ground.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So But then in the great scheme of things, like what's a year?
Yeah.
You know, like I just spent 4 years on a company that didn't go anywhere. You know, a
True.
distribution company.
Yeah.
Now, it's not that I didn't get anything from it or the people that I was working with didn't get anything from it, but in the end, it's not, my life isn't any different other than my skills or my outlook.
Yeah. True. True.
So, but like the existential question is all like ever present, always. You know, like what is happening next? What's happening right now?
So somebody said it's no fun if they don't talk back. Well, here's a question for you, Walter Bishop. Everybody, actually. What is the thing that you're not doing right now that you could be doing that you should be doing?
Yeah.
What is that thing for you guys? Because I know I talk about it all the time. Everybody has a thing. Everybody knows. You know right away. Somebody asks you that question, you know right away. Maybe you're afraid to say it because then you actively know and it's out there that you're not doing it.
Well, part of that's like the habits. Like I finally just got a membership at some gym that's open 24/7. You know, and so like at any time I know I can just go to the gym, get a set in, a heavy set, and then be done within 30 minutes.
Yeah.
So like, okay, I overcame that barrier to having an access, and now I'm just scheduling it in every day.
Yeah. 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 When it comes to the gym, I remember making one guy, he wasn't working out. I made him do 2 push-ups a day, and then you build up because you in your mind you need
Like a low barrier to entry.
low barrier to entry, but
start.
also you need concrete evidence
Oh,
that
yeah.
you can do something. You know, like a lot of people need that, and they don't know how to build it up. So you need like if I told somebody go make money on YouTube, they're like, I cannot do that. But it's like if you got them to a point where they're like making like $10 a month, you're like, okay, now you can't say that you can't do that. So now just expand on that. So for that guy, just was like 2 push-ups a day, and then when we had that whole chart, it was like you worked out every single day, and he would laugh and be like, it's just 2 push-ups, but I'm like, yeah, but now it's like just make it 10, and not do 10 every day. And then you get to the point, because then eventually you get to the point where you're like, this 10 push-ups thing is stupid. I should just go to the gym.
Yeah.
And then you start going to the gym.
Yeah.
And the next thing you know, you're working out every day. It's like you need that progression, it seems, with a lot of people. It's weird. Very weird. But yeah, I learned that from, I forget where I learned that from, but there's conceptual stuff, but then there's concrete information. You need concrete proof of things in order for you to actually like pursue things.
Mm.
Yeah. Like that's why like I started this YouTube channel 10 years ago, and it took my primary channel, it took 10, maybe 7 years or something like that, and then like now I'm making money and it's like sustaining me. And then the second channel I made, it just took 3 months because I had this like concrete thing where I'm like, I know what,
You know the path.
I know what to do. I'm gonna do this. And it's like now I'm doing the same thing with Twitch. I'm like, I'm pretty sure I understand what's gonna go on here. Like I'm gonna make money doing this, you know, and I also have fun. Because like,
Well, plus you're being connected with like all these people, you know, all these people that like it's so interesting to see like the crossovers. Like everyone I'm interested in, like you also have as guests, you know. I'm like, oh, this is super cool.
yeah, it tripped me out when you actually knew that Dan guy. I was like,
Yeah,
what?
Danny Guller. Yeah.
I was like, what? I'm like, how is this possible? That made me think. I'm like, this guy's an asset. This guy's an asset. Here. It's like a CIA asset.
The network.
Yeah.
The network is crazy, man.
I'm like, he knows Eddie Bravo. He connects me to Eddie. You made it so I met Joey Diaz last night.
Wild.
Isn't that crazy?
That's wild.
I met Joey Diaz last night, and he seems like such a cool. Have you ever met him?
Yeah.
He seems like such a just like Eddie. Like he's exactly what you think he is. Like exactly what you see. That's what you're getting. It's like it's not a show.
Yeah.
Like right away, I'm like, oh man, you did amazing. I couldn't remember my shit, dog. I was fucking up my shit, dog. I'm like, no, you did great. I'm like, believe me, none of us knew that at all. We were watching, like nobody knew that. He's like, I don't know, dog. It's just.
It's so cool to see him coming back onto stage after having been gone for what 4 or 5 years.
That's what I said to him. I'm like, you got to move to Austin. I'm like, it'd be like a residency. I'm like, this would be your club, like forever. He's like, I love the club, I love it, but I don't know. And he started talking about the wife and the kids, and
Yeah,
he's
maybe if
like,
he flies in like once a month or something,
but it would be like a residency. Joe would be like, oh, Joey Diaz gets to perform every single night if he
Yeah.
wants to.
The people that show up at the mothership are just like the highest level. That's what I love about Austin right now is like culturally, I can find like the best fighters.
Yeah.
I can find the best comedians. Some of my favorite filmmakers are from Texas.
Yeah.
So like entrepreneurs, there's like all this culture that's happening right now.
Yeah, it's crazy. Like I was telling the photographer who took pictures of us.
I'm gonna look out for that photo.
Yeah, we should look for it. Yeah. We got to find that picture he took. But I was like, you're curating history right now. Like actually, like Joe Rogan's club, you're taking the pictures, people on stage.
Yeah.
You don't know what like he was. I saw him because I saw him. He was like beside us taking pictures in the mothership, and he was taking pictures of Cam Patterson. You don't know what you're taking pictures of. Like Cam Patterson might become the biggest thing one day, and like you're taking these pictures of him when he's like just starting out, really, just on the wings of Kill Tony. It's like you have no idea what that turns into.
Yeah.
It's crazy.
Yeah. And like Zach Moore, who is the security guy at Mothership who got us in, he was in town right when Mothership started, so like he was like one of the first faces everyone met. Really? And now he's super tight with Tony and Hinchcliffe, and he's super tight with like a bunch of these comedians.
Yeah.
And like just knowing certain people like him like opens up the whole world.
Yeah, true.
Just like knowing Eddie opens up the whole world of jiu-jitsu,
True. Very true.
Knowing Sam Tripoli, it opens up.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That was so trippy that you knew Sam. But that makes sense if you knew Eddie. Like you're gonna eventually run into Sam as well.
Yeah. Well, Sam was one of Eddie's first students too. But
Sam was?
Yeah, like he came in. I forgot how much he did, but he did some jiu-jitsu, and then he got tied up into, or he got taken off into comedy. But one of his roommate, his name's Scott Ross, became Eddie's black belt, and he was like Eddie's like main teacher for a long time.
Really?
And then they were roommates, and so Scott Ross became one of Eddie's black belts, and then kind of took it full circle.
Really? That's crazy.
Yeah,
that's crazy to think about all that, and then in the background, like Joe Rogan's becoming the biggest thing in the world, who's like also Eddie's friend. Like, what that's such a crazy. That's so trippy.
The connections, man.
Yeah, that's weird. Weird what things turn into.
Very weird. I have this like, I just have a curiosity. Like I want to know I want to embed myself in people's lives and just feel connected to them.
Yeah.
That's what like is a core drive of mine. And there's certain people that are just absolutely ordinary.
Yeah.
And then there's other people that are not ordinary at all.
Yeah.
And I tend to gravitate towards that cult of personality.
Yeah, I could definitely see that, especially with Eddie Bravo.
Yeah, especially in entertainment, like like these are all people that are like have electric personalities.
Yeah, I guess so. I can't like
enough for people to follow them, to like pay attention to them. Like other monkeys are going to be paying attention to what you're saying.
Yeah, it's weird. It's a weird thing to think about. Yeah, that's why it tripped me out. Eddie's like, I watch your show all the time. I was like, what the fuck are you talking about? I was like, what are you saying to me right now? My buddy's a comedian. He's like a comedian for like 12 years. And he's like, I walk into my house. He's like, and I hear your voice. He's like, my dad's just watching your show. And I'm like, what do you mean? Like, what are you saying? I had an editor, like I'm actually thinking about hiring this editor. He's a guy in Bali. My buddy Mike connected me to him. And he's like, yeah, he watches the show and he wants to be the editor. Like he just wants the opportunity. I was like,
dope.
It's so weird.
That's like a power of broadcasting too. Like people, the algorithm will show you to people who are interested in you.
Yeah, it's weird. It's very weird. And that's why I always tell people, like, I don't know about you're talking about like electric personalities. I don't know if I have anything like that, and I feel like anybody could do it. That's why I tell people
No,
all the time. I'm like, you should just start a
I
podcast and
really
just
don't
do it.
think anyone can do it.
You
But
don't think so?
no,
I
I mean everyone can write down. Everyone has at least one story to tell. You
true,
know, if they practice that story, then it can get to a point where other people want to listen to it.
true.
Like for sure,
Hmm.
that's all. But I don't think it's in people's personality to do what you do, where you sit down and have the professionality to actually like make it happen, and then on top of that, have a commentary on whatever you're experiencing,
Yeah,
and then on top of having the commentary, having some sort of entertaining way of expressing that commentary,
yeah, I guess so.
you know, and then comedy on top of that, like
Yeah, I guess that's a
a
lot.
unique viewpoint. Yeah, I don't think. I mean, I think anyone can learn, but most people are going to be like
Yeah,
mid tier at best.
yeah, I guess, yeah. I don't know. Like, yeah, I guess you're right. But I always look at, and maybe it's just because who I am. I don't know.
I'm
But
not saying don't do it. I think everyone should be like,
try.
try. Yeah, at least go express your story.
Yeah, I think everybody should
At
try.
least.
I think you
Yeah.
could do it. Like
Go try it.
this guy here, is Quad. I just call him Quad. He's this Irish guy, but he seems funny enough. He seems funny enough. He probably has a really thick Irish accent. People will probably think it's pretty funny when he talks about stuff, and he's definitely against like the woke ideology. And he's like always in the streams. He's always
Quad.
talking shit. You know, like he could. I think he could do it. I don't know, but I think everybody
Do it.
can
Make
do
a video.
Yeah,
Just pull out your phone,
yeah.
make a
Quad.
video,
Quad, make a video.
post it, share it.
Yeah. Original sin is already in you. That's towards the conversation we're having. Let me see what you guys are saying over here. These guys are having long form conversations here. What's going on with you guys? Jeez. Yeah, it's 2:36. Tried looking you up on YouTube, couldn't find you. Who? We'll keep going. What are your thoughts on red light therapy? I have been in contact with Dr. Jack Kruse lately, and your thoughts would be interesting if you have any opinion or knowledge on it.
Red light's great.
Is it?
Yeah.
You using it?
Yeah, I use it quite a bit. I have this like helmet.
Are you like a guy that's like putting it on his balls and stuff? I know a couple guys doing that.
Well, you want to be nude when you get it.
Really?
Yeah, you want to be, and if you can get it as close to your testicles as possible,
Yeah.
that will increase testosterone. Apparently,
Really?
yeah. I go to a place that has like a red light that you just stand in front of on two sides,
Okay.
but
Like a toaster kind of, like you're in the middle?
yeah, yeah.
Oh, cool.
But there are also I know a guy who runs a stem cell hospital in Tijuana called CPI Stem Cells.
Yeah, you were telling me.
And he has like right when he wakes up, he has a red light table that he puts on top of him. So he lays down under the red light, and while he's doing that, he also does a coffee enema
Really?
every morning
At the same time?
at the same time. Yeah, so he'll do like 15. He'll do like 15 minutes or whatever.
15 minutes while the coffee enema's doing its
Yeah,
thing?
the coffee enema's going in, and then red light, and then he goes, uses the restroom, takes a shower, gets his life ready, you know, and then also he does NAD therapy, like intravenous, like a gram of NAD, which is a lot,
Yeah.
like every couple weeks.
Wow.
Yeah.
Really?
And the NAD is like super powerful stuff. If you can do it like 2-3 times in a row, days in a row, then like your eyes become really clear. You're like supercharged brain.
Really?
Yeah. But these are all different modalities of medicine.
Yeah,
you
yeah,
know
yeah.
they don't cost much to start.
True.
You know
That is true.
They're accessible.
Yeah, yeah. It's I do find that, I don't do all of this stuff, but the stuff I do, a lot of people think it's very expensive, but you don't have to go the most expensive route right away.
NMN,
Yeah.
nicotinamide mononucleotide.
Yeah.
That's a NAD precursor, and if you take like 500 milligrams a day or a gram a day, that's like $2.
Yeah.
You know, and it's a huge supplement to take.
Yeah. Yeah. I started taking that.
And-
ChatGPT said it was gonna spike my cortisol too much, because it seems like I'm having a problem with cortisol because I'm always stressed about just everything. Yeah, you're trying to like make sure your family can exist and not starve.
Yeah.
Uh, so it says that it's gonna jack my cortisol up too much, but I don't
I
know.
don't know. I mean, it can't be worse than what I've gone through. Like,
No.
like my the amount of trauma that I've gone through as a kid. Uh, I'm sure my cortisol was all jacked up, but
For sure.
I don't see anything wrong with taking supplements.
You know what? Speaking to that, because you were, yeah, and then you were talking about the fact that your testosterone wasn't there. The
Yeah.
cortisol has a huge impact on testosterone.
Yeah. Yeah. Well,
Yeah.
cortisol is one of the first things, according to my endocrinologist, Mark Gordon,
Mm-hmm.
in my conversations with him, testosterone is like one of the first, it's one of the last hormones that get energy. And cortisol is one of the first hormones that takes energy.
Hmm.
So your hormones can't balance until your cortisol comes down. And then after that, then there's a chemical chain that happens that gives energy to those different systems. And testosterone, if you don't have adequate levels of testosterone, then nothing is left over to be converted to free testosterone.
Yeah.
And free testosterone can go through your blood-brain barrier and help heal your brain. And that's his theory on doing testosterone replacement for traumatic brain injury and CTE.
Wow.
So I had several dozens of head injuries, and when I got on testosterone, clomiphene, not
Yeah.
straight testosterone, the clomiphene,
Yeah.
which is
Yeah.
a fertility drug for females. When I got on that, like 3 months later, all my depression symptoms went away, and I finished puberty pretty much at 26 years old.
Yeah. You were telling me.
Yeah, and yeah. So I think like having balanced hormones is like one of the main necessities. Like before even nutrition, like you need to
Yeah.
get your hormones
I'm
in
starting to
place.
realize that. That's why I'm taking it so seriously of bringing the cortisol down, especially now that you tell me about the whole chain of things.
Red light will help.
You think so?
Yeah. Yeah.
I should try that.
Red
then.
light. Also, like when you wake up in the morning, like I don't know if you listen to Huberman,
Yeah.
but he talks about getting indirect sunlight within the first like 30 minutes of you waking up.
I've been doing that. I've been doing that with the baby. Actually, I wake
Amazing.
up and then right away I get dressed, and then she's like in pajamas. I'm just like, get your shoes on. I just put the shoes on and we just walk
Awesome.
and just walk around for like 20, 30 minutes and then come inside and that's it. Yeah.
That's awesome.
Yeah, make sure to do that every day. Now the wife comes along, and yeah, we just have like a family walk and just get the sun in your eyes right away.
There's an aside that I have. There's
What?
like a kind of an aside story,
What?
and I just want to try to explain it this one time because I've never told it before. If you
Yeah.
don't mind. So, related to trauma, related to you bringing up your child, like reminded me of me at that age
Yeah.
or a little older.
Yeah.
At like, I was probably 2 or 3 years old in diapers.
Yeah.
And so I just want to try to get this out so that I have a record of it. 'Cause
Yeah.
I always like think about telling the story, but I never do. Okay. So, I grew up in, Austin,
Yeah.
and, I think at the time of my mom got a divorce from my father, when I was like 2.
Mm-hmm.
And then I had a extremely crazy, chaotic life from that time all the way up to when I moved in with my dad at 15.
Yeah.
So I met my dad when I was like 10, 9, 10.
Mm-hmm.
And then over the next few years, I moved in with him at 15.
Mm-hmm.
And there's a lot of hundreds of stories around this, but I was left home alone at my mom's friend's house, and she had a nice big house in Leander. My mom's family, my mom's friend's family, and my mom's family, which is like my brother and sister,
Yeah.
they all went out, and they left me alone at the house. They're like, "Oh, leave him with the maid, and she'll watch him." But she's not like The maid is not, caretaker. It's not a babysitter.
Yeah.
So they would place me in front of the
TV.
TV, put on whatever, just something random,
Mm-hmm.
and then leave. And it ended up being like some horror film, like Friday the 13th or like Freddy Krueger or something, or like Hellraiser. Like I was constantly bombarded with these like sort of horror movies as at that age.
Holy fuck.
So I didn't like it. So I was sitting there in diapers, no shoes or anything. I was like, I don't like this. This is like a scary movie. I don't want it. So I got up and I wandered around the house. The maid was somewhere else. And then I was like, I'm bored. I want to go home. So the back door was open. It was open. So I just walked out the back door into this giant backyard that was like undeveloped land. And then
giving me so much anxiety having a kid. Holy fuck.
yeah.
I couldn't
Like
imagine.
they're just, and I was pretty smart at that time. I was like,
Yeah.
I knew some things, whatever I was exposed to, I like retained that information, and walked outside, walked down. So I just decided I want to go home.
Yeah.
So I walked outside, walked down this gravel driveway onto a two-way street, and I stayed on this side of the street and just walked along the street until I got to my house. And I don't have a memory of how far I walked, but my family says it was like a mile. So you can imagine like a little, say I'm 3 in diapers, walking along the street, no shoulder or anything, just
Holy fuck.
walking home. So then I get, and there's cars passing. And I can imagine like no one saw like a toddler, like,
Yeah, I would stop right away.
yeah.
For sure.
So I got home and then I was like, okay, I want to go inside.
Yeah.
So I couldn't reach the door. Door was locked. Sat and cried. And then tried to open the garage, sat and cried. Tried to open the back fence, sat and cried. And then finally my mom drives up, like after, I don't know how long, an hour maybe. She drives up and she's like bewildered. She's like, what's going on? We're like, finally found you. And her friend gets out of the vehicle and she was like, I just remember her face looking like a witch, like just a snarling witch. And she started like cursing at me about like leaving and stuff. And then she got the hose and just doused me with water. And I remember I was like, what is going on? Like, this is
crazy.
horrible. And then my mom kind of just sat there and let it happen. And then she like went inside, got a towel and like dried me off. And then life happened. But I was like, damn, dude. So I just want to get that story out there because that's something that's been on my mind for like,
That's crazy.
I don't know, for forever. But it's something that's very present in my memory.
Holy shit.
That was one of like dozens of crazy ass stories. So
That's crazy.
yeah, I would like to document a lot of those stories. My brother and sister were 6 and 7 years older than me, so and we lived, in a area where they would have their friends, like say like 4 families of friends, and they're all say like 12, and I was 6 or 5, and they would just it was just chaos.
That's crazy. That's crazy.
Yeah.
Someone just said neglect.
I guess neglect. Yeah.
Yeah.
Like my mom, she was like I think she married a drug dealer who did time for a drug lord in Mexico, and then when he was done doing the time, drug lord paid him X amount of money, gave him a house. We moved into his house on the lake in Austin.
Jesus.
And my mom was just kind of like going along with whatever anyone told her.
Yeah. That's crazy.
So we were in a Hindu cult for a few years while she was married to him.
A Hindu cult?
Yeah, it was like a Hinduism that it was like a devotee. He was a devotee of Sai Baba.
Sai Baba.
Yeah, and this is a guy who died in the 90s, and he would like do like regurgitate gold and like
Regurgitate gold.
yeah.
Really?
But I mean, he wouldn't say it's regurgitation. It would be like
He formed
sleight
it?
of hand. It would be like he like yeah manifested it. But and then after that, like yeah, my mom would just kind of go along with like whatever other people say.
That's crazy.
So that was a theme. But
Wow.
yeah, I don't mean to touch on this
That's so scary.
like so.
It is, man.
But at a future point, I'd love to like go into a conversation with you about some of these stories because
yeah, we should just do like a whole breakdown of those. I wish we had more time.
yeah,
A whole breakdown of all the stories because it sounds, it's scary hearing that because my mom was complete opposite. She would not go along with things. Like my dad was fucked up. She's like, get out. She didn't like my brother's dad. She's like, get the fuck out.
beautiful.
And she was fucking, yeah. So it's crazy to think of a mom that just goes along with shit. My mom wouldn't go along with anything.
Yeah, or having like your kid like just get up and leave the house, like leaving your kid unattended.
Yeah,
You know, no parental supervision is
crazy.
recipe for disaster.
I mean, things were, for the most part, safer back when we were kids. Like a little safer, you know, just a little bit. But still, that is crazy. Still, like I remember, like you could go, like I don't know if I'd have my kid do the same things I did when I was like 7, 8, 9, 10, like where you just go out and you're just gone, and there was no phones.
Yeah,
like you know what I mean. Like,
well, maybe it wasn't reported as much.
True. Because like, how would we even hear about it?
Yeah.
It would have to be in the newspaper. Yeah, true. Yeah. You might be right about that. Yeah. Oh man, I couldn't imagine that. Yeah, my mom was very hard and didn't play around at all. Like
Good.
Not around. Yeah, she was very, and that's why she became a bodybuilder.
Oh wow,
Yeah, she became a bodybuilder, and she would just deliver newspapers because she was like, I kicked this guy
rolling
out,
the
kicked
newspaper and
Yeah,
delivering.
yeah, and she would just
That's hard work.
Load us all in the car. There's 3 of us. Load us into like an Astro van. Like you remember Astro vans, like the big van.
Like at 4 a.m. or something.
Yeah, the 12 to 7. 12 to 7, we'd sleep in the back, and then she'd get us pop. She'd be like, "Who wants pop?" Because I realize now it's like for the sugar. I gotta wake these kids up. So she'd give us these 2-liter jugs of pop.
Damn.
Yeah. And then we drink that, and then she'd just go home, go to sleep. We go to school. And it was just like that, like for years.
Yeah.
It's crazy.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I like to share like trade stories like that sometime, like get into this zone and like dig into the memory, you know?
Yeah. It's true. Going back into stuff like that, especially for you, because you have way more stories definitely than I did. I just have bad stories because I was like running around in the streets and I was doing things. And I when I was an early teenager, I fancied becoming like a career criminal. Like that was like, I was like, yeah, that makes sense. Like I should just do that.
Oh man,
I don't like school. I don't like this. I should just probably just do crime forever.
Yeah.
Like I really thought that. I was like, I could just do this forever. Like who cares? Like
so many times in my life there was like these fork in the road, and I could say become a criminal or not. And it wasn't my choice. I didn't feel like my choice. I felt like I got nudged in the right direction.
True.
And there's so many times in life where I came to these crossroads. I just felt like I got nudged.
Yeah.
Because my brother was everything that was like a problem, and my sister too.
Yeah.
Like criminals and like just mischievous and all sorts of things. You know, like no self-control, no parental supervision, no authority to live by. And I guess I just happened to like, I could have learned from them and done the same thing and just done it better.
Yeah.
Which I did I started to do in some cases,
Yeah.
and then I got veered away.
Wow.
Yeah. So
Crazy.
yeah.
Yeah, the nudges. The nudges are an odd thing. The little things that nudge you certain ways. They're kind of like they're the involuntary leaps of faith. You know, leaps of faith are like something that you do like consciously, like I'm going to do this. The nudges are like these involuntary things where it's like you didn't plan on getting knocked this way or knocked that way, and you just kind of do. And it's like your life just takes a certain path, you know?
Yeah. And hopefully it's a good path, but
Yeah.
I also feel like you always have to prepare for tragedy because it will strike at some point.
Yeah.
So you have to be like mentally, emotionally prepared that something bad will happen.
Yeah.
You know, even though you could take it overboard and be paranoid, or
Yeah.
always have a fear of something bad happening. But
Well, yeah, everything happens the way it's supposed to happen. That's how I look at it. Like even in the tragedies that feel like tragedies, like I mean, one thing that everybody knows is that your parents are gonna pass away, and that's gonna be a tragedy. And you have kid, and their grandparents are gonna pass away, and your kid's gonna go through that. It's like those things are gonna happen, and there's nothing you can do about that. Those are the type of things I think of when it comes in your friends as well. Like, it's funny enough, my buddy who passed away, it was so interesting. I was thinking about him one time back when we were like all just ridiculous people. It's him driving, buddy Gidon. My other buddy is in the front. His son is in the back seat. His son's like 6 or 7 at the time. I'm in the back seat too. And my buddy Gidon, he lights a joint and he starts smoking. And my buddy looks at him. And these guys like this, they're like really wild dudes, but they love each other. And he looks at him and goes, "What the fuck are you doing?" And he's like, "You want?" He's like, "No, man, the kid, man." And he goes, and he's like, hold out the window. He's like, "Bro, put it out." And he's like, "Are you for real? I gotta put it out. Kid can't smell anything." He's like, "Put it out now." Like they're really down to fight. They love each other, but like if things go left, like it was just so funny just thinking about that the other day. And then I realized as I'm driving through Austin, and I realized it's his birthday. It was his birthday as I was thinking that memory. It was so funny. I laughed so much thinking about that. I was like, holy fuck. It was such a stupid thing. He's like, "Oh, so much."
Yeah, do you think it's bad to smoke in front of a kid? Because it would give him the idea to do it.
Yeah,
to mimic you.
yeah. I think it's bad. I think it's bad to, like, it doesn't always happen, but most of my friends whose parents smoked, even just cigarettes, they ended up smoking cigarettes. They ended up having that habit because it's just normalized, right? Like, what's normal in this house is that my kid comes in and I'm sitting with headphones on in front of a microphone and I'm recording things. So every day, the first thing the kid does is try to run into the office, tries to get into my chair, and tries to like start biting the microphone and like wants the headphones and like tries to smack on the computer. It's like they emulate you, Even at that point, like you saw the kid's 15 months. Even at that point, like she can run. The first thing she tries to do is just do that. So my mom was a bodybuilder. Like I worked out from the time I was like 14 years old because it's like it's just like a normal thing in the house, So whatever you make normal, they will see as normal. So I don't know. Like I used to smoke weed and I stopped smoking weed because of that exact thing. I'm like, I didn't want the kids
Just
to be
being the
around.
example.
Yeah, I didn't want
Will you
them.
smoke like at random times now?
No. I have no. I love the smell of weed, but I have nothing to. It took away so much of my life and my potential that it's just not worth it at all. Like not even.
Because I use cannabis to like get into some creative zone.
Yeah. People who can do that, it's like that's amazing. It's great, especially people who can just like smoke one. But the thing is, if I smoke, the second I exhale the first time, I'm gonna think, when can I do this again? And I'm not gonna eat, and I'm not gonna worry about making videos, and I'm not gonna do comedy. Like I can't smoke and then get on stage. It just doesn't work. I can't smoke and then get in front of the camera. It doesn't work. Like nothing of what I am right now happens if I start smoking. It's like this weird thing that
I have a few friends like that.
Yeah. I just everything turns off, and it's like I don't care about you. If I start smoking right now, like this is part of the reason I gained weight, because if I start smoking right now, I would immediately like lose like 30 pounds because it's like I don't care to eat. It's like I don't care. Like I'd rather be high than.
What do you need to not eat, or can you not eat for? What do you mean, for like a day or what?
Just at any time where I should be eating. Like it's just like, who cares about breakfast? I'd rather get high. Who cares about lunch? I'd rather get high. It's like I guess I'll eat now because I feel like I'm gonna pass out.
Oh,
But as soon as, because the whole thing is like you don't want to ruin the high.
yeah.
So it's like as soon as I eat, it's like I'm gonna have to smoke again anyway. So it's like I'd rather just chill. It was terrible. The system I had set up in my mind, and it comes from trauma as well, like my own traumatic things of like just it became a coping mechanism very early in my life, like a very, very early age.
Yeah, if you have any like addictions, like it's better to not exacerbate them
Yeah.
or
I
to
I just have an addictive personality.
yeah,
Like,
yeah.
I mean, like I tell everybody, my wife's giving birth and I'm making thumbnails and I'm scheduling the videos and like I get addicted to things. Like, like I post like I haven't like I got thrown off because of the mothership and everything, but it's like I post like one channel's posting like 4 videos a day, the other one's one a day. It's like I'm like when I get into something, I'm into it.
What we probably should have done is like make that like a vlog for you. You know, like
I
you showing up and
yeah,
introducing like where you're at, and then show the photos.
yeah, we could have definitely done that. I had that thought, but then also I was like, you can't film in the mothership. I didn't want to have this presentation of like, the head of the security. I didn't want to have this presentation of like this guy's here for content, like
Yeah,
that kind of thing, you know.
yeah. I
So
mean,
I just didn't want to do that.
I like doing that stuff. You
I
know,
do,
but
I do.
like,
I
and
like doing that
I
too.
wouldn't overstep any boundaries or anything. But
Yeah, I just don't want them to, feel like I'm some kind of journalist or this or that. And,
yeah,
who's this guy? Like, who are you bringing here?
yeah, yeah.
That's why I
Oh,
didn't
yeah.
mention like my channel or anything. Like, this guy's like, yeah, I know Tony Hinchcliffe. I'd be like, I have a whole channel dedicated to Joe Rogan. I talk about him every single day, and I've been listening to his podcast for the past 6 hours. Is Joe here? Can I see Joe? He'd be like, this guy can't come in here.
Yeah. And randomly he shows up on stage like
That blew my mind. That blew my mind. I've never seen him that close before. I've seen him in like a stadium or like I think it was a stadium.
Joe Rogan, Joey Diaz,
Yeah,
Tony Hinchcliffe.
yeah, yeah. And again, back to addictive personality. I missed Tony Hinchcliffe because I was posting a video.
Oh, really?
Yeah. I had a thumbnail ready and I was like, my thing's not working. I had to go across the street because my reception was off, and I'm walking around trying to get this video posted. Like,
That's funny.
when I'm into things, I'm into them, and everything.
Well, that
else
would have been a
falls
good
aside.
time to like set that aside
Yeah.
to like be at the.
I can't do it. I was thinking about it the whole time. I'm like, if it's 9 o'clock, I'm like, my best times to post videos are like I'm told it's 9 p.m. to 11 p.m. I'm like, right now I know, even though I didn't have my phone or anything, I'm like, I know it's 9 p.m. right now. And I went outside and it was 9:10. I'm like, I knew it. I'm like, I gotta post this video right now. Like, it's just a thing that goes off. Like, I'm just
That's
like
so
that.
funny.
Yeah. It doesn't stop.
I mean, we could do that anytime. We could go out. You just say, I want to go do this, and I'll just follow you. You know,
That would be cool.
I can format it with you, beginning, middle, and end. Make it super easy to put together. Very minimal editing.
We want Coach on Rogan. Yeah. Some people.
It's just down the street. It's not far.
Yeah, right. I'll just show up. I have like 50 fans at least that want to see me on your show. So I think we should do this. He'd be like, oh, okay. I called the police already.
Yeah, yeah,
Wouldn't even be him. It'd be that security guard. Do you see that huge security guard when Rogan got on stage?
yeah.
There's
That's
a
his
huge guy in
like
the corner.
personal, his like operator or whatever.
Yeah, that guy was big.
Yeah.
That guy was that guy was like an X-Men character.
Apparently, he has a significant security team.
He does.
Yeah.
Yeah, I've heard like anytime I piece things together because I listen to so much of his content. But when people go over to the studio, and this was in LA and I guess in Austin as well, they always talk about all these guys are working out in the gym, and it's like that's his security. Like they're all like, apparently they're like all ex like military or Green Beret here or Navy or whatever. Like they're ex those people, a lot of them. Apparently, I don't know, and I heard there's like 15 of them. Like it's a big.
I believe it.
Detail.
He probably spends $1 million a month on those people.
You think so?
Probably.
Yeah, at this point, when you have that much money, like why not?
I mean, if
spend
you're
that?
at that point, like when you have Trump on, like,
Yeah.
I'm surprised he doesn't have someone. I mean, he might have someone like tasting his food, you know?
Never know. Well, I mean, you see him making a lot of his own food, right? And then when you see him online and he shows food, he's usually there when they're making it.
Mm.
If you ever notice that, like it's like there's like a sandwich place he loves that's like in Austin, but he's there when the guy's making it. Yeah, and the security is not far behind, right?
Yeah.
So,
I don't understand how you can listen to something in 4 times speed.
well, it's like 3 times speed, sometimes 2.5. If you do it enough, it sounds normal. Somebody said that to me today. They're like, why would you listen to it twice? Like, why don't you just put it normal and like pay attention? But I genuinely like. It's a weird thing. Again, addictive. I like listening to things over and over again. Like I like listening to the same thing.
That's editing.
Over and over and over again. Like I can just listen. Like sometimes I'll just go and just be like, okay, Joe Rogan, Greg Fitzsimmons, because I know I like their podcast, and I'll just listen to it randomly.
But like when you listen to something and say 2.5 times, that means things are compressed, so you're getting like the beginning of the word and like some of the middle.
Kind of. You like. Well, it starts to sound normal. Like it doesn't sound sped up to me when I listen to it. The 2.5.
How long does it take for you to like adjust? Like if I started doing that, how long would it take me to adjust?
I started doing that when I was doing Uber Eats. I wasn't doing it. I probably started doing it a year ago, and I just started. And again, funny enough, that guy Mike, my buddy, he would also do it when he was listening to anything. So when we would listen to things together, he would have it on double speed, and I'd be like, "This is crazy." But then when I started doing it, first it was 1.5, and then 1.5 starts to sound normal, and then you go to 2, and then 2 sounds normal. And like now I'm at the point where like 2.5 sounds normal. 3 sounds fast. 3 speed sounds really fast to me. But
currently, but you think you'll get used to it?
Yeah, if I wanted to listen to it, I don't do that. Sometimes it gets because it seems like you're losing things, but your subconscious is like taking things in, so it feels like too much at once. So you're listening to it at 3 times.
Your bandwidth is not.
Yeah, well, I'm listening to it and I'm doing things, and I'm like, so it's like I have to like slow it down. So I'll go to 2.5. 3 times speed is fine if I'm just looking at the screen and just listening because I just want to find a thing or I just want to hear some stuff. But
right, yeah, I scrub in editing. I just scrub, and I will do that like 3 or 4 times speed, but like.
Yeah,
but I'll control it.
Yeah. So, it's just a thing that happens. Like I just started doing it, and it's not only just Rogan's podcast, right? It's also the press conferences with Trump, or
Can you do it with music?
I could.
Yeah,
well,
like would music be as pleasurable if it's double speed?
It depends what song it is. Because some songs, like I remember, like I just had it on 2 times speed. And I forget, I think I put in a song I heard a song and I'm like, oh, this sounds great. And I was like, oh, it's 2 times speed. I'm like, oh, let me slow it down. I'm like, oh, it's a completely different song. I'm like,
well, yeah, there are like, I listen to songs a lot on like Spotify where they're like, oh, the slowed version.
Yeah.
And that like, oh, I like slowed version better. But there's also sped up version.
Yeah.
So I'm like, okay, I kind of like,
So
like, as long as the fidelity stays intact and like the pitch isn't too crazy. Yeah,
it's fine. It's just you get used to it, and it's kind of just the nature of the job of what this is right now. Like what I do, like I kind of just do what's necessary. Like I don't kind of like I don't know. I do so much. My life consists of so much of what I want that I just do a lot of things that are just necessary for that to just be that way. Like if I want to make money on YouTube, it's like, okay, I listen to a bunch of news every single day on 2 times speed, 3 times speed, and like that gives me the life I want, so I do it. It's like I don't know. There's no workaround. Like I don't know. It's a weird thing. It just kind of happens that way.
News.
Yeah, a lot of news. Oh yeah, I was gonna pull up that news thing. What's this? My family were all straight-laced, but insisted I was the black sheep, even though I overachieved and never got in any trouble, consistently kicked me out of the house.
Jeez.
As it turns out, it was the bikers and big-time drug dealers that took me in and fed me and gave me somewhere to stay and watch TV and really saved me in many ways. See, so many people have wild stories. That's I
had a friend
Walter there.
Walter
White. Is that Walter White?
My middle name's Walter, and
really,
yeah. And my dad's genealogy, we went back like 40 generations to like our father's line, so his great grandfather.
Yeah,
and apparently Walter was a title of these pre-Franks barbarian tribes. Like a Walter was like a leader of an army.
Really?
Yeah. And so one of my grandfathers was named Walter.
That's crazy. I didn't know that. I guess it's kind of like Carter or like Smith. Like if you go far back enough, like they were like
Titles.
yeah.
Yeah.
Like a carter was somebody that like I guess pushed carts around or pulled carts around, and then like Smith was usually like a blacksmith or something like that.
Yeah.
That's interesting.
Love the etymology.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think I gotta go.
Yeah, I think so. Well, it's 3 now. Yeah. What
Is it really 3?
Yeah, 3:09.
Oh.
Yeah, we go. I want to do this more. I want to do this again with you, but I want to do interviews like this more.
I'll watch this. If you do this with other people, I'd love to watch that.
Yeah, man. I think I just gotta see. It's all like a learning process, right? Like you were talking about, like seeing mistakes going live and everything. But like I gotta learn how to incorporate the people, their questions a little more. See if I can incorporate that, and then learn how to. And again, that's just like a multitasking thing. It's
Yeah,
like
and is it going to be a conversation, or is it going to be like interview? Are you going to talk about a specific topic, or is it?
I don't know. Like
The Rogan style is all conversational.
Yeah, this is all conversational. I mean, like I wanted to go over like the Maryland man and like know, that news story, but it's like we just took it where we took it, right? So it's like I don't know. I kind of like that more. And again, the main channel I wanted to transform into Rogan stuff. Like I don't think people realize like I'm gonna transform into Joe Rogan. Let's look.
It's right there.
Yeah, he's right there.
It's right there.
I'm gonna transform into him. Like once I get the testosterone, once I bring my testosterone up to 900. Oh man, can't wait. I'm gonna start wearing those stretchy jeans.
I mean, I watched Joe Rogan when he was on the couch. When he was in his house on the couch. So this is essentially the same deal.
Yeah, man. When he was on the couch and you'd hear the kids screaming, because sometimes his kids would just like go off and like because they were young back then, and Red Band wasn't paying attention to him ranting, and he would like ream Red Band out. And I love that. I love that era.
Yeah.
But again, people love being a part of that. Like I love knowing that I watched it at that point. Some people just like they like to see the mistakes. They want to see you grow.
Yeah. And then they make a compilation about all your mistakes later to try to take you out.
Yeah, every time you said the N-word or something like that.
Neighbor.
Yeah, exactly.
Neighbors.
Yeah, it's a funny thing, but yeah, people like to see the mistakes, man, because then you grow and they can identify with that. They identify with you growing as a person. That's what people do.
Yeah.
That's why people don't like to watch mainstream news anymore. They don't want to see people who act perfect and are wearing suits. They're tired of that shit. It's like they're done with it.
Glenn Greenwald wears a suit, I think, and he
wears like a little dress shirt.
Yeah.
He's professional.
He's pretty buttoned up.
Yeah.
There's certain people, like I have a friend who went to Muckraker. He went to the Panama entry into Mexico.
Okay. Yeah.
And I forgot what it was called. And he followed the caravan, the migrant caravan, all the way up.
Wow.
Yeah, and documented the whole thing. He's a super white dude, and his brother too. His brother looks like he could be Mexican, but they followed the whole thing, and then got kidnapped by the cartels. South of Texas, got all their stuff destroyed. That's a whole story, but he's super buttoned up.
Yeah,
and he went through this whole like crazy story, and then after he released it, that's when he started going on all these like news sites.
Yeah,
and but he wants to do like same thing you want to do, but he wants it to be more buttoned up.
Yeah. I can't do it. I just want to be myself. I want like Eddie's a big inspiration in that. Joey Diaz is a recent inspiration in that. I want people when they meet me that it's the same as when they watch me. Like I don't want to be different than I am. It just makes it so much easier.
We don't need to be either.
Yeah. But I mean, like in everything, like the way, like if people see me out, like I was wearing pretty much this yesterday.
Yeah.
It's just a different shirt. This is what I do. It just makes it easier, especially when you give your life to something and it becomes so much hours of your life. It's so much better for it to just be who you are than to have to be this whole amalgamation of a bunch of different things,
Amen.
Yeah, man. But yeah, thank you so much. Thank you so much
Thanks,
for
dude.
being here, man.
I
This
appreciate
is
the invite, man. Thank you.
amazing. I wanted to get this done so long ago, but yeah, I'm glad we got
I'm
it
super
done.
happy about it. Thank
Me
you.
too, man. Me too. I really liked it. Went 2 hours right on the dot.
Oh, dope.
Yeah. So, yeah, man, we got to do it again and do more things. But I'm gonna be doing more stand up because of you and that mothership visit.
Yeah, there's a bunch of open mics here.
There's a bunch of open mics, but also it's just that inspiration of just being there,
Yeah.
and just seeing the whole thing and just being like, yeah, like I was talking. I did an episode before we go. I did an episode where I was talking about Thomas Campbell. I was talking about the whole rendering. Thomas Campbell and somebody named Rezwan Firk, and he's like a game developer and stuff. And Thomas was talking about how things don't render until you're actually there. Like the brain doesn't render until you crack it open and this and that. And I started thinking about the whole game theory because that's what the other guy, Rezwan, was focusing on. And I was thinking I gave the example to the audience where I was like, things don't render like a game until you actually go and pursue. A friendship doesn't start until you actually go. Like it doesn't render. You're just two people,
right?
Until that renders, you actually have to move towards it. I gave the example of the mothership wasn't even a real thing in actuality to me. I know it exists, and you could tell me about it, but when I got there, then it rendered. Then it became real. Then when I actually went inside, then it became more real. Then I actually saw Joey Diaz in fucking person, and it became even more real. You know what I mean? So it's like, yeah.
And it's right there. You just have to reach out and grab it.
Yeah. Just like I reached out and grabbed his hand.
Yeah.
What are you doing? Yeah, it's fucking trip.
It's so wild, man.
Mind blowing. But yeah, man. What can people find you anywhere? What do you want to tell people about? Anything?
I have a YouTube channel, Plaster 10p.
Yeah.
I'm on Instagram, Plaster 10p. I don't know. Leave a comment. Let me know what you want to see. Essentially, like just tell me what you want to see, and I'll probably make it.
True. All right, guys. I got to get going. I might jump on live again to do some news stuff, but for now, I got to get out of here and make sure this guy gets out on time. But thank you guys so much for being here. Quad as always. Walter, thank you so much. Daisy, thank you for stopping in. Really appreciate it, guys. Other than that, we are out.